Okay. So first I'm just going to give you a very quick overview of what happens in Google Analytics so you understand the layout. If I can find my mouse. Here we go. So whenever you log in for the first time, you're always going to get the same sort of layout. The standard reports, of which there are 400 something, will appear on the left-hand side. I'll show you the ones that are most relevant, and then we'll deal with the ones that aren't standard. And then you're going to have this sort of nice looking chart here, which shows a metric, in this case visits. Just so you know, I always almost, depending on what I'm trying to do, I usually put it into a week or month just so you can get a better sense of it. And for our purposes now, we'll just zoom out to sort of a 3-month period. So we can see what's happened with the traffic over the last couple months. So it looks like they're hitting 1,000 to 1,500 visits per week. So what do we want to know? We can go here and take a quick look. Google is going to do its best to tell us about these 4 different areas, right? Audience, traffic sources, content, and conversions. So we can learn a little bit about what our people are, right? For example, where they're located in the world, right? Clearly US heavy, but they get traffic from other places, like looks like Canada and Mexico. You can see the technology, which is nice. You can see what browser people are using, for example, Safari, Chrome, and all the rest of it. Also in today's day and age, right? How many of your visits come from mobile? Right, so we can see only 18. Let's see. So that's generally an audience you can dig down a little bit deeper, but those are some of the main ones. Traffic sources is very helpful, and that tells you where your traffic comes from. Right, so Google is going to give you what they think is their best guess of what's interesting to you. Right, so they give you this little pie chart, and you can go see here some of the keywords that Google that hit your page. If you want to dig a little bit deeper, there's usually 3 main types of traffic. Direct is when people type in your URL directly into the website. Referrals is when they come from a different website. And search is what we talked about before, right? When they come from Google or Bing and all the rest of it. Just so you know, campaigns, when we looked at MailChimp previously, so their campaigns, they don't have very much going on right now, but if you start doing more MailChimp campaigns, then those will start popping up here. And so you can get a sense, okay, so we sent this email to the 1,000 people on our list, and here's what happened, right? We had so many page views and so forth. The one thing missing from all this, which we're going to get to in just a second, is goals. All these numbers I call vanity numbers in the sense that they don't tell you very much, right? If we had 5,000 visits instead of 4,000 visits or 5,000, just visits the website did not make, this was not a very important part of our list, right? Goals are usually tied to revenue or tied to something happening. And right now, this is the major thing missing from Google Analytics, which is what are we trying to accomplish? And so I'll show you how to set that up. But just a quick overview first. Content is if you want to look more at what's going on with the actual URLs on the website, not where people are coming from. So we can see which URLs are popular. So the slash is just your homepage. And we can see what else has been popular. Men's socks are good. Men's socks that are fun is good. These are the more popular pages. Site search, I want to highlight, I don't know if you guys have it set up. It looks like no. But people, this is a really good thing to get set up because if you go to the website, oh, sorry, that's your calendar. How do you spell it again? Oops. C-O-R, oh, there it is. All right, so maybe when people get here, is there a search function?
Yeah, it's a little.
Oh, so this thing. I don't know if it's working or not. But nevertheless, if there was a search function, and I recommend always having a search function and making it big, because that's how people look for things these days, this will be a really useful tool. It'll tell you what people are searching for on your site. So if you're thinking about, is it pink socks, is it fun socks, Ben socks, whatever it happens to be, this will give you all that really good information. But nevertheless, this is all the different things about the content. And finally, but most importantly, goals. So if we look here now, we probably won't find anything. Right, so no goals have been set up. So that's what we're going to do right now. So I'll show you what it looks like. What do you want people to do on your website? What's the number one thing? They're going to buy socks, right? Okay, so let's see how that looks. Let's say we come to this site. Let's shop for some socks. These ones look pretty awesome. So we're going to add them to our cart. Let's go to the cart. And then we're going to check out. So look at what's happening to the URL. This URL keeps changing, right? And then, say again?
I just said I make the socks.
Oh, thank you. I have excellent taste in socks. So we can fill out all this information and then presumably check out. And I don't know exactly what the URL will be, but for the purpose of this, we'll just say it's checkout, right? So it's checkout.shopify.com/checkout. It would be something, but I'm not going to buy these socks. I'm going to think about it for a minute, not make an impulse buy, but we can see eventually what the checkout page would be. And that checkout page, or usually a thank you message that fires after the checkout happens, is usually the goal for a commerce site. So what we can do is we create a goal. We're going to call this checkout. And we'll call it, and there's different things that you could do here based on what you're trying to happen, just so you quickly know. A destination is usually a URL. Duration is how long you spend on the site. Pages per visit is how many pages you visit. And an event is something that gets triggered. It's not a URL, but it's something, like, as they listed here, playing a video or looking at a particular piece of content or whatever it happens to be. But for the easiest thing to wrap your head around is hitting an actual URL at the end. So what you do is you come in here and you type in what the destination URL will be, which, as we copied before, was this. It's not actually that, but it's good enough. You can assign values to it if you want to, but depending on for this, for example, this goal could be worth $10, right, selling a sock. But since this checkout page is going to be for everything, we're not really going to assign a value. But what we do want to do is a funnel. And a funnel is how we actually got here. So let's go through here and go backwards for a second. Let's see how we got there. You see how the URLs keep changing along the top? So the first thing we did was we went to zoraup.com. So that'd be the first step in our funnel. This is the home page. And then from there, we clicked on Shop Socks. This is just an example. There's obviously many different funnels you can pull together, but we'll take this URL as well. No, the funnel is not necessary, but it helps. I'll show you later at the other end of things. It helps you visualize where people came from. And so it'll show you how many people went through the steps in the order that you envisioned and how many sort of came in and left at different places. But let's just say from there that you had a product page. So it could be, socks, the Paisley socks, right? Thanks, old Paisley. Right, and then finally we got to this checkout page. This is an example.
Won't there be like 1,000 different step threes?
Yes. So thank you for. So you don't want step 3 in here. So this was a fake out. So exactly, because you have 1 million step 3s, this is not that useful information because it's going to lead to people going all over the place. So probably your funnel would look more like they hit my homepage, they do some browsing, and then they get to the checkout step, and then finally they hit the thank you page, right? Corresponding to the homepage, searching, and then buying, right? So we don't actually want this in here.
There's no way, sorry, I meant more like there's no way to capture the whole, like any product page count as step 3. It has to be a specific.
Depends how your website's set up. In theory, if they all had the same, what you can do is you can use a little star. So let's say all your product pages were product / product 1, product 2, product 3. Then say, yeah, you could say we'll hit a product star, and then that covers everything. Don't quote me on that actual how you do it. I think it's a little bit more complicated, but essentially that's the idea, because you would put in something that has a wildcard. And then you can see here that they're not required. And then, so we can't verify this goal because we haven't used real data here. Let's get rid of these because those first two are good. Let's see if we can get this to work. Oh no, because we didn't use a real URL at the end either. But in theory, if we had used valid URLs, Shopify makes it a little bit harder because it's not on your own domain, it's off domain. It doesn't matter though, but it just means that we can't actually get what the checkout string would be. Nevertheless, it'll tell you whether or not you've set it up properly, and then you click on Create Goal, right? And then you'll have a goal so that when you're looking in your reporting, right? So a very simple question might be, let's say people come from Facebook, right? So we want to look at all the folks who came from Facebook. Right now, we don't know how well Facebook is doing at creating sales. But if we put our goal here, which is a converted sale, then at the very last column here, we'd say how many conversions. So we could say, well, there's 12 visits and there's 3 conversions. So that tells us our Facebook efforts are converting at this rate. Yeah?
So for this class, when you purchase, I think on the
Yep.
So you have to like create something different in order for it to track?
To track Eventbrite, you won't be able to do it through Google Analytics. So what General Assembly would be tracking in this specific example is how many people looked, for example, at the homepage and then looked at a class page and then clicked off to Eventbrite. So the action that they would be interested in is, did people go to Eventbrite? And then they would have to go outside Google Analytics and match that up with purchases from Eventbrite. So you couldn't track it, you couldn't track front to back in one thing, which is why it's often useful to have everything on domain, but they use Eventbrite. So that's okay, it's just a different, it'll be slightly more complicated to plug it all back in. I guess I shouldn't say that. Eventbrite might have a Google Analytics plugin, I'm just not aware of it.
So you just set up a goal, and then by setting the goal, it's going to add problems.
No, it won't. So, but that's, you guys are asking great leading questions. That's what comes next. But because there's no goals in this, I'm actually going to log out for a second and show you with someone else. So you can see actually how it looks. All right. So Cour Avenue is a startup in Paris that I've been mentoring for the past couple months. We'll just say this is just my sort of standard view. You can see things have been picking up for them, which is really nice. And actually, I'll show you the website first so you understand what we're doing. It's essentially a combination between Yelp and Mindbody. So it allows you to look for courses and look for reviews on different courses, whether it's tennis lessons or cooking classes, or it's not working, so awesome. Okay, awesome. Not sure why it didn't work. But anyway, people come here and they can search for classes and do all sorts of different things that they want to do. And what we want them, I'll just show you. So for example, you see these, this means a review. So these are the latest reviews. So there's all these people with reviews, and we can see what it is. So this is, I don't know, it's some sort of performance something. I don't actually know what it is, but there should be reviews somewhere on here, right? So yeah, you can see the reviews. And our goal was to get people to write reviews. So if you look down here, you can see these are all the goals that have been completed. So what we did was we went and said, after you submit a review, it fires off a message that says, thank you for your review, regardless of where you left the review. So we tracked that as the goal. And now we can see here all the things, all the goals that are coming in. And we made some good pivots, and now things are starting to trend upwards, which is awesome. But nevertheless, so one really good report that we use is this, the Content Efficiency Analysis Report. So you can make all your own reports and build it out of all the different pieces in Google. But what I recommend doing, because it's a lot easier, and this link is in your handout, but these are the 7 most useful tool reports from that really, really smart people have already put together. So you can copy it. So what you do is you click down here underneath the report, and you can pull it in, and I'll show you what this report does. So this report says, how well does any particular piece of content do when converting? So now you can see here the goal completed. Sorry, we're kind of running off the screen. Right, so here, remember the goals completed are people submitting a review to the website. And so we can say when people landed on a certain page, what happened? Did that eventually lead, a piece of content is a URL on your website, did that eventually lead to something? So this is their homepage right here. They made a little change of it. You can see that there's a different headline, right? So depending on what the headline was, we were able to get different goal completions. I think this one looks wrong. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that one. But nevertheless, so when people, for example, hit from this flamenco school, they fired off 14 reviews, right? So this is the page that they started on. And so we can see who's been really good at, what piece of content is really good at getting people to review, and which one is not. So that very first report, for all of you guys, will probably be the most important report you have. And it's super simple. You just go to here, the link's in your handout, click on Add It To, and I'll show you how to do another one. So for example, let's say keyword analysis report. We want to see which keywords are really good at Google at getting people to complete events. Right? Because once again, we don't really care how much traffic our website gets. It doesn't matter. We just want people to do the goals that we're hoping that they're going to do. In this case, file reviews. So we do the same thing here. We're going to get the keyword analysis report. We'll put it into Core Avenue. And here we go. So now we can see like when people type in Core Avenue to Google, we got, sorry, slide back over. Right, we can see how many completions we got. Just so you know, it's a little bit annoying, but Google won't give you the keyword that someone typed into Google if they're signed into any Google product, meaning Gmail, calendars, basically anything. And so what happens is the keywords don't get passed through. What you can do is you can get a little hack, which, so NP stands for not provided, but it shows you the home page, the page they landed on. And you can often get a sense of what someone was typing in terms of their search query based on here. So it's very likely that someone typed in Paris Dance School. We don't know for sure, but it's just a way of guesstimating, especially because 70 or 80% of most Google traffic is now blocked because they won't pass it through. That being said, folks who typed in something, most likely Core Avenue to hit the landing homepage, started filled out 68 reviews. So this is if keywords or Google search traffic is a relevant source of revenue or whatever it happens to be, you can see which keywords are important. And then let's say you were going to develop content around certain keywords. We could say, well, maybe working on Core Avenue would be good, but when people type in Paris Dance School, we can see that no one left a review, so it's not that important to us. We're not going to develop content for Paris Dance School. So you can use all these different reports, of which we're not going to go through all of them right here, right now, I mean. But you can use all these different reports depending on what your goals are, and those are the things you already written down. So the main thing I want you to take away from all this, though, is that you need to know your goals. And if you know your goals, you can now use these reports. So whether or not it's content that you want to convert, or keywords that you want to convert, or referral traffic that you want to convert, whatever it is that you want to convert, you can use these reports to pull in and tie together the source of traffic, for example, and how well they do what you want them to do. Buy socks, register, donate, leave reviews, and so forth. And that's the heart of Google. I'll warn you in advance, Google Analytics is endlessly addicting because there's 8 million reports that you can play with. So you can go through here and you can click through all day. But now that you know better, let's say I want to say, oh, I feel really good. I wrote this thing, and now, look, I got 426 views on it, right? This is a standard Google report. What does it actually tell you? It's a trick question. Nothing. Who cares that 426 people looked at this page? It doesn't make any difference because our goals are getting people to write reviews. So you always want to tie, if you have 10 extra minutes, I encourage you to play around with Google Analytics, but if you only have 1 minute and you're trying to figure out, are your marketing efforts working? Think about what your marketing goals are and then tie it into your analytics. They'll be much more effective. Yeah?
Maybe this is a dumb question, but how do you set up analytics on your site?
For a corporate site like yours, you'll probably have to talk to your IT guys.
What about like just like a WordPress?
So WordPress, you just Google WordPress, Google Analytics plugin, and that's what I use something called NK Google Analytics. And what you do is you grab, there's going to be a little code here. You see this? You just grab that little code, not the negative, the whole thing like this, and you'll copy and paste that into the Google Analytics plugin, and you're done. It's super easy. Yeah. Yeah, that part's straightforward. Almost every single website you can possibly imagine has plugins for Google Analytics in particular. And there you go. Any other questions on that? It can get super overwhelming, which is why I encourage you set up your goal and track against your goal. Whether I showed you 2 of them for content and for keywords, but whatever you're trying to track, it's in here. That's why I love this. That's why I have this bookmarked on my website and I pass it along to all of you. It's amazingly, amazingly helpful. So link analysis report, just to look at it again, it shows what links, when links are coming in, right, goal completions are still working. Tie everything to goals. Yeah?
What's your opinion on attribution as far as looking at the sales funnel and you've got all these different things that may have contributed to someone taking a particular action?
Yep. My advice on attribution is to use common sense. Right? A lot of people want to make it a very specific dollar amount. Oh, let me first explain. Let's give an example. Because it's a great question. Okay, what's your sales funnel? Just give me a couple steps.
Alright, so starting from like what a customer might do.
Where do they come from?
Alright, so let's say someone is on Lemon Tree.
On Lending Tree?
Or they click on a banner ad for Lemon Tree, they go to Lemon Tree.
Did you say Lending Tree? Is this a mortgage site?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're on a referral site.
Right.
And then what they're going to do is they're going to click a banner
Yeah.
that brings them where?
Well, kind of the opposite.
Am I doing the opposite?
But that's okay.
They're going to go banner to Lending Tree?
Yeah, so we put, let's
Where do they start?
they're on some website.
They're on any website.
Yeah, on any website.
Okay, they're on the New York Times. But they're sophisticated readers. They click the banner.
Click the banner, go to Landing Tree. That could be our website. And then.
Could it be your website? Because that'll be Lending Tree.
Yeah.
Remind me of the name of your site again? iFreedom.
So.
Okay, and now what?
Then, maybe go to the few pages and eventually some information.
Be specific. What kind of content are they looking at?
They're going to look at information about the
Okay. Okay. And then?
But now I'll submit a short form, so just their basic information, saying they want to upload.
Okay. We're going to end it there. So this is great. This is a really idealized thing that we can talk about. So they're browsing somewhere on the web, doesn't matter. They see an ad, which is search engine marketing, right? They click on that ad, which brings them to your website. Hopefully not your homepage, but hopefully a landing page of some sort, which relates to the offer that was in the ad. And then they look at a bunch of different types of content, whatever it happens to be, loans and so forth, and then they fill in a form. So this here is your goal. And using a couple of these different reports, we can check a couple of things. We can check how well is this banner ad working, and how well is this content working. And you can also check how well your landing page is working. You can check all three of these things, right? Should I go through the example again, or is it clear already? I want to bore you guys with this public walkthrough. Feel good about it or no? Sort of.
One more time.
One more time. Okay, we'll do it one more time.
Well, I was just, so it gets more complex when you add in other pieces. Right? Like, let's say the same person, if someone does that, and maybe they get information, but they don't put it up.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to answer the question a little bit more. I understand where you're coming from, but I'll answer it more abstractly. The point is, people in the real world don't act like robots, right? So they come here and they browse around, and then they leave again, and then they see an email that they get from you guys, and then they come back and back and forth. It's called usually a sales cycle of some variety, or your marketing funnel of some variety, and they might not just, if you're buying a pencil, you probably walk in and buy a pencil. If you're buying a car, or taking out a mortgage, a more significant purchase, people are going to take a longer time to decide what they want to do. My recommendation, let's just look at this. Is the banner ad, the landing page, the content, which is the most important part, right? And just so some marketers say, whatever the last thing that happened, whatever the last thing they did, that's what we're going to attribute it to, right? So we're going to say, this content, because this person was worth $5,000 when they submitted their query, for example, this content was what drove it. So that content's worth $5,000, or whatever the numbers are. And these things weren't relevant. But that's, I think, pretty blatantly not the right way to do things. Then other people say, well, we have to dissect it to get exactly the right number. So this thing was worth $3, and that one was worth $4, and this one's worth $8, right? And that's how, and adding it all together is what value this client was to us. That's another way of doing it, which I also think is a little silly. My best recommendation for attribution, especially in the relatively messy world of digital marketing, where they could look at some social things, they could have looked at some content, they could have saw some banner ads, and then emails, all the rest of it, is just take your best guess, right, at the beginning, right? And so you say, okay, well, I think this banner ad, I would pay maybe up to $10 for it, up to $20 for it, whatever it is. And just throw a number against it and see what happens, right? And the same thing with all the rest of it, right? And then what you do is after you give it a sort of an outline, and you're basing your actions based on that. So if this is worth $20, let's say you start spending $20 on it, and you realize you're not converting anymore, or you're converting at too low a rate from what your baseline was. Say, okay, well maybe that wasn't actually a good guess. Maybe we really should only be spending $10, right? And I think that the trap that most people fall into when they get to attribution is that they're trying to get it exactly right from the beginning, because there's so much. You look at Google Analytics, you say, well, we know everything, but it's not human. Humans behave weird and messy in this way. So by taking your best guesses at things and kind of constantly living with it, I think you'll end up getting a better result than being dogmatic about it and saying, okay, it has to be in these specific categories.
I have a question about the comment. So if you put those 5 steps in the funnel,
Yeah.
in your goal, what if somebody took a different
Uh,
route? Would it still show up as a goal?
Yeah, so as long as they get here, it'll pop up, right? But what you can do is if you say, well, everyone's getting here, but no one's going through any of my steps, that tells you probably one of two things. One, maybe your funnel is not set up properly, or two, and more likely, is that your customers are looking for information in a way you didn't expect. So that, and since your funnel is probably set up on how you think people are learning about your product, if that's not how people are learning about your product, probably means you need to change the type of content you're creating, right? This means you're off if they're not walking through it this way. So with that, then I would say, okay, let's rejigger the funnel, maybe different types of content, and try to get closer to what the customer actually needs. Because a good funnel, while not perfect, because of course people come in and out all the time, will approximate the shape of what people are actually doing. But here, I'll just show you how something like this will work in analytics. Does that answer your question though? My main thing is don't get too caught up on it. Just take a best guess and start working. But let's just say we were in analytics. Right, so we'll use keyword analysis just as instead of keywords, we could say, oh, actually we do have that link. Let's go here. Link analysis, pay-per-click keywords. So they're not doing any pay-per-click, so we're not going to get great data here, but just so you can see what, we're not going to get any data. That's stupid. But let's just say, for example, there was a banner ad here, and it said we're buying whatever keyword to show the banner word ad against, mortgages for veterans or something. Then we could see how many visits, how many cost per clicks, and then how many people completed. So we could see right in one place how well that particular banner ad is doing, and so on and so forth for the rest of them. And if we're looking at the funnel, oh, we haven't looked at the funnel yet. Their funnel is not set up great, so you can see that it's not working, right? Because people are, you see how 0 people are coming in, but then 2,000 people ended. But this is generally what a funnel looks like. And what you would do is at the top would be, how many people hit the landing page from the banner ad, and then the second step was a particular type of content that you're interested in doing, and then this down here, instead of saying posting or review, it would say submitted a short form about whatever, about getting a quote. So that's how it would look. Is anyone doing this today that we can look at, or not yet? Okay, good. So in our 30-day review, this will all be something that you have set up, and we can take a look at it. But that's the general idea of how analytics will work, that people will walk through it that way.